My name's Tepno, and I'm an artist, and I live near Toronto, Canada, and I'm currently in my studio right now. Um, I've been an artist now for 9 years, running a Tepno project and everything. How I got started, I mean, I was 12, wanted to be in metal bands and stuff. So my parents got me drums, got me guitars, and played in a bunch of bands. And when I was 17, 18, I actually was getting label interest from Roadrunner Records. And then finally, you know, you know how it is with bands. It's very hard to keep people around. So we disbanded, and I just decided to do dance music, pop music, because I was really into that. And I like no one really cared about my music for about 10 years. And so I was toiling for 10 years, and then finally when I was around 27, 28, got a few songs that broke out, and here I am now.
Wow, so you've been at it for a long time. Was there any points that you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, or were you always just like, this is what I was meant to do. I'm doing this.
I mean, I find since the age of 12, I knew I wanted to do this. Um, I find that, yeah, I think daily can be a struggle sometimes, like, thinking like, do you want to keep doing this? Do you want to? Because I mean, yeah, like some days I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do this. So, and then I'm like, you know what? Everything's so temporary, how you're feeling, that like if I have a bad day, I'm like, you know what? Let's see how I'm feeling tomorrow. And I find lately, especially, I've been just trying to take it a lot slower. If I'm just trying to relax a little bit more, um, have stuff happen more organically than just try to push for stuff.
That's cool, and that's a great message too. Like it's the feeling's temporary if you're not feeling it today. And I don't know. I needed to hear that today. Thanks, man.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, it is what it is. Like in life, there's so many like highs and lows. It's I find like something like that in entertainment. I don't know about anything else, but like when you're trying to put yourself out there, there's going to be a lot of pushback, and it's not going to be easy every day. And it's like you have to remind yourself like why you're doing this. Like, are you doing this to like get a big paycheck or whatever? Like that's not what I wanted when I started. I just wanted to get out there and express myself, and put my music out there, and maybe show people maybe a different side that they hadn't heard before. And I don't know, I just try to remind myself that it's like it's not about getting a bunch of views on TikTok or getting a bunch of streams on Spotify and stuff. Like even though like yeah, it'll happen. Like I'll get those things. I'll get all that stuff, but like that little high is like is super temporary. And if you're just like waiting on all those moments, you're you're gonna be depressed more often than not, because I mean life is just a lot slower than sometimes being shown on the internet.
Right, right. That's like, I mean, that's true. They always tell you whatever's happening on social media over a good majority of it is fake anyway. They're just showcasing
Yeah.
like the high points of it. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I guess what made you want to create music? Like, I know you said you got started and wanted to be like a metal band, but I guess like what keeps you going?
I mean, I I think I just try to like I just want to push myself, see how far I can go like creatively. I think I mean this week I was going through so many sessions that I had done over the years, like thousands of sessions from 2014 to now, and I was like I had graded them and everything. I have my Excel sheet and everything, and just because I'm like I want to make an EP and actually get serious and see if there's a lot of songs that I may have missed over the years. So I've been going through a lot of the sessions, and I don't know, like I find that's why I do it, why I go through sessions, why I make new music. I just try to push myself and like maybe see if there's music that hasn't that's not out there yet that maybe I can present in some way to first of all to myself and then to other people. I think like that's a big trap sometimes to think, okay, well, you have listeners. What do the listeners want? I don't know. I think that's what pushes me a lot, and like seeing where things will go, meeting new people along the way, seeing who I'll collaborate with, because I mean, there's obviously a lot of talented people out there that it's like, I've barely like touched the surface of my career. And even though it's been 9 years now, it still feels very, very fresh. I think that's I just want to push myself creatively, and that's why I keep doing it. Sometimes I do that, like just looking at previous sessions and then being like, man, this is actually like pretty good. Like because so much stuff like you forget that you make. I don't know if it's like that with you too. If you're taking pictures or doing videos, if you're like, wait, like I don't remember doing that or being there or
Definitely,
like,
definitely
I,
happens to me more than I'd like to admit.
yeah, exactly. So
Well, I guess building on that, what are there any projects or any collaborations or anything that you've worked on over the last 9 years that you would consider like your biggest successes?
I mean, I mean, the funny thing is, biggest successes are not the ones I really thought that would take off. So a lot of times a lot of songs that I thought would take off didn't take off. I remember making a song like Last One Standing. I mean, my buddy Ashton sent me a bunch of guitar tracks, and he was like, "Well, I don't know if you want to do something with those." So he sends me a bunch of guitar tracks, and like I'm an editing guy, so I like to edit
Mhm.
a lot of stuff, and I just build those guitar tracks into a full song and added some saxophones and whatnot. And then next thing you know, and I'm at my parents' house at the time. I mean, I was broke. I wasn't like making a living or anything doing that. And then next thing you know, I hear that Pete Tong on BBC One is like premiering the track. And then as soon as he premiered the track, like the song like took off so much. And then a lot of people started contacting me. I mean, I was talking to Milky Chance's manager. I was talking to
Wow.
Kygo's manager at the time. He was really interested in managing me, but like Kygo kind of took off really big
Sure.
after that. So I think I think his priorities were elsewhere, which I understand. And yeah, a lot of people reached out and stuff, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna sign right away. So I just kept releasing songs, and some songs really took, like a song like I remember releasing Swear Like a Sailor, and I had nothing to release that month, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna finish that song and release it. And that song did really well online and did well in streamings and all that stuff. Like same thing when I first signed with Ultra. I mean, I sent a song, The Best Crew, and then that song got like 35 million streams, and
Wow.
like I didn't think that it would get. I think like I think if sometimes you just got to keep your expectations low, because if you start getting like high expectations on stuff, then you're gonna get disappointed. Um, like a newer song like Perfectly and You Know That Feel Off of Me. I mean, You Know That Feel Off of Me kind of did it as a just random one off, did that in one day, and it was very different from anything else I was doing on the album. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna put it on there anyways, see what happens. And like that song's already at 8 million streams on Spotify.
Jeez.
If you start thinking about like, okay, well, this is gonna do really well, or I mean, it's tough to say. Like you have to think like you have to enjoy it for yourself. I think like I wouldn't release stuff anymore that I wouldn't enjoy. Like, 'cause sometimes I feel like there's some stuff that I know maybe the fans would like, but it's stuff that I've already done in the past. And so I don't want to like put the same stuff out there constantly. I
Right.
you want to diversify, you want to do something different.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what you were just saying about like pushing yourself and surprising yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, cause like, you don't freaking know, like, I mean, I remember doing that song Toluca Lake. I mean, it's just a writing session, and, we're in a shitty apartment, and, like, I recorded most of that track in that shitty apartment, recorded all the vocals, and I recorded the guitar, and then I go back to my hotel room in LA, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, man, this is like a pretty good song. Like, I'm it's like you got to put yourself in those situations where stuff is not perfect,
Sure.
and stuff might feel awkward, and all that, and then see what happens. And I find, and for sure, I think collaborating with other people, yeah, I think it's really important, because if like if you're always by yourself doing the same stuff, I mean, you're only getting your own perspective. But if you're like with a bunch of people, then they all have different ways of seeing art and seeing creativity, and they all have a different workflow. And a lot of times you come up with stuff that like you never thought you could come up on your own. Or if you're in a different city, I mean, that's a big one. I mean, I'll make different music whether I'm in Toronto, or if I'm in LA, or like, Denver, or any of those places. There's just different vibes from different cities. And so
Sure.
there's, I don't know, there's so much like in consideration.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially after 9 years, I'm sure there's a lot of different things to draw on.
Yeah. I find you get bored of a lot of stuff. Like I've listened to so much music in my life that I find it like whenever anyone's releasing a new album, whether it's a big artist or whatnot, like they have to like really impress, because like I most likely may have heard something similar with some other artist. So I mean, I take that in consideration too when I'm making music. I'm like, I don't want to make something where I'm like, oh yeah, 3 years ago I heard this artist do the same exact thing. It's like, no, I'm like trying to think of like something that maybe hasn't really been made, or I mean, most of the stuff has been made, but like something a little bit different, like a different point of view, I guess. So I find a lot of times I listen to new albums, and it's like it's very like rehashing of previous
Sure.
stuff. And I mean, lately we've heard it a lot with Harry Styles and Weekend doing their kind of their haha take on me. But it's funny for me to hear that, because I'm like, yeah, it probably comes from that inspiration, and they do their own spin.
Sure.
So,
Sure. I mean, it's not broke, don't fix it in some aspects, but I kind of like
yeah.
the way that you're thinking about pushing the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah, like I've been thinking more because I find I've done a lot of, verse chorus type songs, and now I'm like, I was listening to the new Metro Boomin album. So many good rappers on there and everything, but a lot of it is very unstructured. It just seems to me like that's what makes it like interesting. That I don't really know like what's coming next in
Right.
the
You're
song.
not gonna be able to sit there and be like, well, the chorus is coming up or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like as soon as you start getting bored of it, then you're like, wait, but there's something new that comes in, you know? So I don't know, for me, like it's really inspiring because I'm like, it's a pretty big album by a pretty known hip hop producer, and I look, I get it that everyone on the album's pretty much like A-list rapper, or artist. But it's like I feel like a lot of albums like that, they take like really big swings, and like there's a lot of misses, but
Hmm.
like if there's a few in there that hits, I find it like hits really, really good.
Sure.
And I think that's what I'm planning to do in the future, maybe doing more big swings and not being like so conservative.
Cool. That'll be interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I think that'll be exciting for someone like you because I mean I know Toluca Lake was like one of the first songs I ever heard from you,
Yeah.
and then they have like what like 8 or 9 remixes of it now,
Yeah,
and
there's
then
a few, yeah.
Haley's really into Shaken right now. I think she
Yeah.
listens to that song like every day. So
Yeah, actually, I remember doing that song. It was last summer. Um, I had sent it to another guy that I was supposed to make a song with this guy. I think can't remember what his name is, Shofi, or I can't remember. But so he didn't respond to me after, because well, he said he was gonna do something. He didn't respond, and I was like, you know what? This could probably work with like female vocals. So I sent it to Britt Larry, which I knew because I had remixed the song that she was featured on. I was talking to her. I was like, "Wow, you have a really good voice. Maybe we should make a song together." So basically, I sent her the song, and she like wrote the whole song, and then just needed a few tweaks here and there, and then we released the song, and it did pretty well. And then when I performed in LA, she actually performed the song with me. So cause she was at the show, I'm like, hey, come and perform the song, So it was pretty cool.
yeah,
It's a cool feeling to like to do a song, and then a few months later you get to like perform it in front of like 200, 300 people. And I'm sure I'm probably gonna make more songs with her. I mean, she's really talented. So
there was some song, and this will tie into my next question, but there's some song you played when you were at your mom's house last
yeah.
November, and you were like, I've never played this song live before, and everybody went nuts for it. I can't remember what the name of it was, but that takes me to my next question, which is, are there any new tracks that you're working on that we should keep a lookout for coming out soon?
I mean, I'm releasing a song tomorrow.
Oh
Um,
snap!
Yeah, it's called Don't Matter to Me, and it's very like David Guetta, Tiesto. And I haven't released
Cool.
a song like that in a long, long time, or even
Hmm.
ever. I'm not singing on it, but it's a really good song, and yeah, like I'll definitely perform it live in upcoming shows. They're good dance songs to like just add to a set, and then maybe rest my voice a little bit. But yeah, I can't remember what the song was that I mean, it might have been like You're So Annoying. Um the thing is though, I said that, but I was lying to everyone. I've performed it a few times live. So it's not like I never performed it live. Like I remember performing it in Montreal, remember performing it in New York. Um
So you just like say that to build extra hype for the crowd.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
I
good
find like
strategy.
I just, just lying to the crowd, and being like, "Oh yeah, this is like the first time you're performing it," but really you've been like practicing the song for like 2, 3
Sure.
weeks. Like, I don't know, I try to be like ready. I really like I try to practice. I really need to like practice every show. I don't want to make a fool out of myself, and sometimes it's like the people, I mean, most of the time for me, like people have this the first time they see me live. So like I don't want to like look really amateurish. I leave a good impression, like to like actually keep fans and you know, but I do know that by the time I'm performing, a lot of people have been drinking, a lot of people are probably doing whatever drugs or whatever, I don't know. And then it's like it's like they'll remember like maybe a version of what they heard. It's not like people are like really sober, like just listening to you. Yeah.
So, what's next for you? Like, I know you have the gig coming up
Yeah.
in April here, but are you doing more gigs in other places? Do you have like a tour planned or anything? Like, what's next?
Well, I mean, I do have a show February 25th in Toronto. So I'm doing that show, Adelaide Hall, and then performing in Venice Beach again on the 31st of March, and then April 7th, Your Mom's House, Denver again. And I did link up with a booking agent now. Uh, they're called FATA Booking, and they're planning to like get me on a 17 show tour. I mean, honestly, it's been too long. Like, it feels so weird for me to like go on tour now after 9 years. And I mean, I think it's a result of like many things. Like, it's a result of like mismanagement in the past. Um, yeah, like I think that's mostly that. I mean, I used to be with a different booking agent, and I was pressuring my manager to like, get me on tour, get me playing a bunch of shows, and he was mostly like, well, it's just wait and stuff, and then on top of that, COVID happened, and so they weren't going to book shows during COVID, and
Right.
I don't know. I just got like pissed off at the end. And I was like, no, you gotta change everything. So we just parted ways, and then parted ways with that agency, biggest agency probably in the world. And I looked for a different booking agent, maybe start small, doing small venues. And I don't know. I'm hoping that it's like that I can start touring a lot more, but like I try not to keep my hopes up. Like I find every show I do, I try to think that's just gonna be my last show. So I think that's
I
the
hope that's
best
not the
way.
case.
Yeah, for sure. You hope not, but you're like you don't freaking know what's gonna happen. So that's
Sure.
why like you try to put like as much energy as possible when you're performing so you can like give a really good show so that if anything happens then you're like well fuck because I don't know, I could lose my voice tomorrow or any of that stuff. Like it's just part of life, and if anything happens then at least you can like sit back and be like, you know what, I did like the best I could, see what happens. I got a booking agent. I was like, okay, well, it would be good to book me a tour. I didn't freaking know that she was gonna like be like, hey, by the way, we have like 17 shows and here are the dates and this and that. And I'm like, wow, this is like really happening now. So I'm hoping that it's the start of something really great. And I think being on tour will also probably make me record and write better songs. Like just not being like always in a similar room, similar element. You're going out there, you're playing different cities, you're getting different vibes from different cities and different people. People talk to you. They all have their own stories. I mean, pretty much like you and your wife, you have your own story, and like I find as a creative, I just hear that and then I get inspired to maybe write uh different things in the future, like not just, I mean, I don't think I've written a lot of from what I know all the time, But yeah, I think it's good to hear other people's stories. I think that's the best thing about playing small shows. You get to meet a bunch of different people, and a lot of people are inspiring. So it's you go on tour, and next thing you know, you come out with a different EP or a different album that you would have never thought of if you were just staying in your city.
Do you think your family's gonna come along for the tour?
Nah, probably not. Nah, it's too hard. It's
Yeah,
too
late
hard.
night.
Like, I mean, I have two kids, so I mean, someone has to like take care of those kids.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's probably my wife that, is gonna stay and look after our kids and stuff, and also my parents are gonna, you know, take the kids once in a while.
No, that's
It's
good.
uh it's challenging, like it's
I bet.
challenging to think of you're gonna do a tour, but then you have a full family at home. So this is not when I was in my early 20s anymore. It's like you got responsibilities outside of music, and outside of your creative life, and it's very very tough to balance everything. And it's that's why I think, like, when you're at home, you try to make an effort as much as possible, especially if you know you're going to be on tour. And I mean, that's like, we're talking about a 2-month tour. So it's like, you're not home for 2 months, and being in a relationship, being married to someone, or whatever situation you are. I mean, for sure there needs to be a lot of trust. I mean, we trust each other a lot, so
Yeah. Well,
so
it's
it
good you
definitely
built that
helps.
then.
Yeah, I mean, my wife was pretty much there day one when I started my project. Like, literally, I met her like Valentine's Day. And then next thing you know, I would say a few weeks later, I mean, I started getting people interested, just through, because I was partnering up with YouTube channels, getting songs through popular YouTube channels, and then redirecting some of those people on SoundCloud, and then now Spotify. And yeah, so my wife's been there like since day one.
That's
So
amazing. That's awesome. You got yourself a good one.
yeah, oh definitely. I love my wife.
Well, do you have any final messages that you'd like to say, or anything you'd like to say to our listeners?
I mean, if people are creative types, I think the best thing to do is to just do something you really really love. Maybe not go out there and see, oh, okay, what do people want? What do people, like trying to like analyze a crowd or an audience. I think a lot of times you have to like express yourself in your purest form, and just like making what really inspires you, and I think it'll inspire other people at the same time. And if it actually takes off, like it took off for me, then just enjoy the ride, have no expectations. And yeah, and I don't know if anyone wants to join my mailing list on tepno.com. um Also follow me on social media and stuff. I've been posting a lot on TikTok lately, so I'm planning to do some giveaways, some vinyls, some t-shirts. So yeah, that's about it really.
That's awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. I definitely look forward to seeing you in April. That'll be again at your mom's house in
Yeah,
Denver.
likewise.
And then we'll just point everybody to your website. I'm sure any information where they can see you outside of Denver is on there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, plus, after the show we can go for drinks or something.
Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah, that
Yeah.
last time in Fort Collins, we were out pretty late.
Oh yeah. It was fun though. It was
We got
fun.
home at like 3. and then our flight was at like 4:30. So
Yeah, that's
it's a long
crazy.
night.
I can imagine. Yeah, I was pretty beat.
Yeah, I bet. Well, again, thank you so much. It was awesome talking to you, man, and I'm very excited to see you here soon.
Sounds good. Bye, man.
All right.